So I'm really thinking about starting like a new series on my channel, and it's going to be titled something like what pisses me off about musicians, or what pisses me off about producers, because I love you guys. I love musicians, I love producers, but man, there's a lot of not so smart thinking going on out there, and a lot of victim mentality that happens with producers and artists and musicians, and it really gets under my skin because I feel like we could be smarter about how we are running our lives and running our careers. And I know that from an early age that if you're really talented, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have business sense or that you have any sort of sense about how to market yourself or how to just have a strategy for how to succeed with music. I totally understand that. I really didn't get any of that when I was growing up. I got a lot of praise, a lot of encouragement, but I didn't get any of the business kind of wisdom injected into me until much later, until well into my college years. I started figuring out, oh, I have to actually like serve somebody and actually be a productive member of society to make money. So I had to kind of get out of my self-absorption about, but my music is awesome and I just want to share my music with the world. Yeah, that's great, but it has to actually be benefiting somebody directly for them to want to put money in your pocket. At the end of the day, it is a business, okay? So this is one of these issues that, and I don't blame the member that brought this up to me, but he had a really good point. But when he brought it up, it kind of reminded me of something that sort of grinds my gears a little bit about musicians. And the issue was, he wanted to know, hey, Jesse, what do you think about these libraries that are popping up where they're basically like royalty free? They don't pay any back end money. They basically give you maybe a little bit upfront for your tracks, or they sort of give you a monthly kind of a salary, I guess. It's sort of like a stipend. It's just a little bit of something to say, here you go. Thank you for supplying us with the music or with the tracks, or sometimes they just give you maybe an upfront fee. And then it's like, but there's no royalties, right? There's no back-end royalties. There's no writer share. There's no publisher share. We're not even dealing with the PROs. So essentially, like whatever you get either on the upfront or maybe on this like kind of monthly payout that we provide to our writers, that's what you get. And, you know, obviously this is kind of like, you know, this seems like one of those sort of like red flags. We shouldn't be submitting to these kind of companies, and this is no good. I don't like this business model. And my point of view is, why, if you don't like that business model, and hey, I don't know how much these companies are paying per month, there probably is a certain level where if you are guaranteed a couple $1,000s a month, it might be worth it actually to forego your back-end royalties. I don't know how much they're paying. I doubt they're paying that much. But if they are, you know, everything's negotiable. You should be always weighing your pros and cons, okay? There's no one singular way to do this. There's probably a multiple different business strategies and different models to really do well. But my thing is, rather than getting mad at these companies for having these business models, why aren't you getting mad at the producers that are supplying them with really high quality music? Right? That's really why they're able to stay in business. I don't blame a music library for trying a new business model that's profitable. It's business, right? It's nothing personal. They're just trying to figure out a way for them to be more profitable. And I've known plenty of people that started new libraries and catalogs that do everything they can to try to be competitive, to try to get into the pockets, the people who need music. So they're going to try to do anything they can to be cheaper, more agile, provide more quality, provide more options, right? To be as flexible as possible, to be as serving and as catering as possible. It is a service industry. So I don't blame any library for trying a new business model or a new method that's beneficial to everybody. If musicians are not happy with how these companies are running their business, they got to stop feeding them high quality music, right? That's what you should be mad at, because without high quality music, a library is nothing. There is no library without the high quality musicians that are feeding them. And what this reminded me of was when I was in LA and I had a band, and we would want to, you know, go play shows on the Hollywood Strip and Sunset Boulevard and all that good stuff. Now, if you're not aware, if you're not living in LA, there's this thing which is pay to play. Okay, so many, if not most, of the clubs on the Hollywood Strip and the Sunset Boulevard area, where, you know, you have your sort of Whiskey A Go Go, you have the Troubadour, you know, these iconic, House of Blues was there. I think that shut down. I don't know what else is there now. It's been a while since I've been there, but iconic clubs, right? That are just, you know, you had monsters in the 80s and 90s play there and get discovered there and blow up, right? They actually charge bands to play. Promoters charge the bands, you know, $500, $1,000, sometimes even more, to just play one show. And basically what they do is they hand you, you know, 100 tickets, and they say, here you go, sell them for whatever you want, and anything you make above and beyond what you paid us is your profit. And that's basically how it works in Hollywood. If you want to, get on the not infamous, but famous stages that you feel like, well, we aren't a real band until we've gone and played at Whiskey A Go Go. We have to play on that stage, right? Because there's history there and there's some prestige to it. And I was in a band that did that, right? We played that game. We paid our $1,000 or $500 or whatever it was. And then it was like, we would go, beg our family and friends and the few fans that we had, please just, buy some tickets and show up. And we never made a profit ever. Most of the time we were in the hole. We might have made them like $100. And so we were in the hole $400, something like that. Maybe, I honestly don't think we ever broke even. I think we were always at a loss. We always lost money. We did eventually partner with somebody who got us a couple of free gigs, luckily, at the Key Club. Key Club is awesome. I don't know what's going on there now, but I do, at least, 10 years ago, I highly endorsed the Key Club. I loved it. But, back then I realized, like, how could they do this? And if you're a band, you're like, man, these guys are just taking advantage of bands, and this is so wrong, and you shouldn't be paying some. It's like paying or charging a chef to show up at your restaurant to cook, right? It's like, no. If the band is providing entertainment for your customers, you should pay them, or at least not charge at all, and give them like a free drink or two, right? That'd be great. And the reason why these venues can do this is because there's plenty of bands that are willing to pay. So these artists that are getting mad at the venues, it's like, why are you getting mad at them? They're just realizing that they have something that bands want, which is a prestigious name, a prestigious stage, a historic place to play your music. Maybe to try to do, you think you're going to do a, I don't know, some sort of a showcase for labels and A&R people. Been down that road. I know about that whole thing about getting excited and hyped up. But don't get mad at the venues. Get mad at the other bands. The bands are creating this environment where they're saying, yes, I'll pay you $1,000. Yep, I'll pay you $500. Yep, I'll pay. Yes, I'll pay. It's the artists, it's the bands that are saying absolutely. Because if you're going to stand on your principles as a band or as an artist to say, you know what, that's wrong, I'm not going to pay to go play at your gig. You don't think they can replace you in 2 seconds? They've got a waiting list of bands that are willing and wanting to pay to get on stage. And because they all believe, well, if we play on that stage, it'll make us more prestigious, it'll give us some legitimacy, we can say on our little, our bio that we've played at all these iconic big places, right? Even though we just paid to do it. Yeah, it's all kind of a scam, okay? It is all kind of BS. But these venues, they know what they got. They know that there's a demand out there to play there, and there's only so many venues, there's only 7 nights of the week, and how many thousands of bands are in LA that are trying to blow up and trying to get big. Okay, so again, it's just about not going into the victim status, okay, of like, well, poor us, and it's just all these sharks that are taking advantage of. It's like they're taking advantage of a situation where people are willing to pay them, okay? So I always point your rage and your anger at other musicians and other producers that are enabling this to keep happening, okay? That's where you should direct if you're going to be angry at all, okay? My point of view on this stuff is usually, unless there's fraud involved and somebody's literally like, hey, we're going to license your music, and then like they don't even license, like nothing happens with your track. It's literally sitting on a hard drive somewhere, and it's not even like being available to be shopped, right? Like if there's fraud going on, yeah, not cool with that, obviously. But if there's just a different kind of a business model that may or may not be as profitable as the next guy's, I don't know. You never know in the long run, right? You might be signed with the most prestigious music library, but you get no placements with them. And you kind of throw some of your rejected tracks to a little royalty-free library, and you make a couple $100 throughout the month from them. Okay, royalty-free, not the best business model. You don't have that passive income, but you're not getting anything from this major, library. You're not getting the love, you're not getting the attention, or maybe just for luck's sake or whatever, you're just not getting placed yet. So which one's better? I don't know. Well, one of them you're making money. So I always try not to think of it as like a black or white kind of a scenario where this is a company you should definitely stay away from. This is a company you should definitely always go towards. You always you have to start working with people and evaluate after a while how that relationship's working out for you. Are you getting what you want? Are you seeing the sort of green shoots of success that you wanted to get going with them? If you're not seeing that, if you're being sat on, if your emails aren't getting responded to, if you can't get these people on the phone, right? And if you're just kind of feeling like, I don't know, I don't really feel like I'm a part of this team. I think I'm just one of thousands of other people maybe that are contributing to this catalog, and you're kind of just you're not getting that personal touch, and you're not developing that personal relationship. that's maybe time to reevaluate it, okay? Not time to get mad and hate them and have all this anger, but just, be mature, be professional about it and say like, well, I gave it a shot. I tried supplying this library for a while, not seeing the stuff that I wanted to see. Time to go in a different direction, try somebody else, okay? So just try to empower yourself and try not to see the world in a black and white way, but just think of it as shades of gray, essentially, right? This library has this business model, this one has that, and if you don't think that this business model is great and you think it's a ripoff and all that kind of stuff, great, don't supply them with your music. That's all you can really do about that. Maybe you can tell other producers if you want to, hey, please stop supplying them with music because they're sort of cheapening the industry for all of us. But your blame and your anger and outrage should be directed at the people enabling all that, and that's us. That's producers, okay? That's musicians. It's not the library. So this might be a very controversial video, and I know some of you probably don't want to hear this, but that's just honestly how I feel about this stuff, guys. I really do think that the minute you can accept responsibility for what you contribute, what you don't contribute to certain problems in life, you don't feel as helpless and powerless anymore. And that's what I've noticed just going through this, is that like if somebody does business the way I don't want to, I just don't do business with them. That's it. I don't make a big deal about it. It doesn't take any like space in my brain, and I don't dwell on it. I just go, okay, they're doing their thing, and that's the way they want to go about it. Not for me. And if there's something that I feel is going to be harmful, I'm going to let you guys know about it. That's why I tell you guys, tell you all the, advice that I do give on this channel. That's why I've done this, is to try to steer you in the best possible path. But even with everything that I've learned, I don't have all the answers, right? There's going to be new libraries that pop on, and they have different ways of doing their business, different ways of structuring their contracts, and I'm here to learn as well. Like every single day, this business is evolving and shifting, especially now with the blockchain coming online and new ways of generating revenue and new people looking for music, streaming, augmented reality, virtual reality, a lot of stuff happening, video games. So I'm always constantly going back to school and learning about like what's going on out there, but never blame, unless it's fraud. But if it's a business model that's legit, but you don't agree with it, just don't supply them with your great music. That's really all you got to do.